Hey guys, today's video is going to be a 1 week 1 palette with the Sigma New Mod palette. This palette is new to my collection. The brand actually did send it to me in PR recently, and I've just been wanting to better understand this palette, figure out how I feel about it. So we're going to be doing 7 different looks. The look I'm wearing right now is actually look number 7. So hopefully if you are considering buying this palette, this video can help you decide whether this would make a good addition to your collection. Or if you already own this palette, hopefully I can give you some inspiration for some looks to try out with it. So let's go ahead and just hop right into look number 1. For this first look, I want to do something rosy, just kind of a classic look that you would think of when you look at this palette. You know, the main thing that you see is these rosy berry tones. So those are the tones we're going to focus on today. I'm going to start out my crease with the shade New Mod. I'm just going to buff that through my crease. And for all of these looks, I'm priming my eyelids with the CoverGirl Lid Lockup Eyeshadow Primer. Next, I'm going to take some of the shade Voguish, which is a little bit deeper and a little bit more plummy than that previous shade. Taking that on a smaller crease brush. And I'm just going to start to build that up in my outer corner and also more in the actual crease of my eye. Then on an even smaller crease brush, I'm going to go into the shade Edgy, which is that next deepest berry matte. And I'm going to really focus that like right above the lash line here in the outer corner. And I'm not going to whine on and on in this video about Sigma's matte formula, but I will say it now, just to get it out of the way. But like, they're a little patchy, you know? That's kind of just how it is. They're very like stiff, a little bit challenging to blend out. I feel like if you have more mature lids, I don't know how well these would work for you because, I mean, I'm 28. I don't have like very mature eyelids, but even still, I feel like, you know, my skin moves back and forth and it's kind of hard to get it on there smoothly when I blend. It ends up looking just very skippy and patchy, so. Alright, next I'm going to take some of Artsy. And I'm going to see how this applies without a glitter primer. I'm just going to apply it with my finger. I'm going to focus that here in the center of my lid. Ooh, yeah. It's a kind of a dark shade. Alright, and then on this other eye, I am going to lay down some of my NYX glitter primer just so we can see the difference. I feel like that applied okay, just with a finger, but I'm just tapping that here on my lid. Alright, so let's take some of that shade. I'm tapping that Artsy shade on this side. I feel like with this method I'm able to use a little bit less eyeshadow because it just grips onto the lid a little bit better. And it's just a little bit more shiny over here on the glitter primer side. But I feel like that shade applied okay, even without. Okay, so then on this inner part of my lid, I'm going to take the shade Avant Garde, which is this duochrome that shifts from kind of like a plummy red to a blue. I'm just going to tap that here on the inner part of my lid and overlap it a little bit with Artsy. Taking a little bit more of Edgy, that deepest matte that we used on the outer corner, just to redefine that. Then on this small detail brush, I'm going to pick up some of the shade Haute, lightest shimmer, and apply that to my inner corner. On the smallest crease brush that I use for Edgy, I'm not picking up any additional shadow, but I'm just going to take whatever's left on that brush and smudge it across my lower lash line. Next, I'm going to use my Annabelle Eye Ink in brown to just do a brown wing. Just because it's in my everyday makeup drawer, I'm taking some of the NYX Epic Wear Liner Stick in Periwinkle Pop, just a light lavender shade, and apply that to my waterline. Alright, so I finished off the look with some mascara on just the upper lashes, and then on the lips I decided to go with a berry color. This is the Kaja Love Swipe in the shade Call Me, and that is look number 1. Alright, so for look number 2, I want to focus in on this taupe section of the palette. I was noticing that this little section of the palette is all very taupey, and then over here, these 6 shades are those more berry tones, and then you have a gold and a brown at the end. But I kind of like how it's divided into those 2 different sections, kind of. So today I want to do a taupey look. Love taupe. Alright, so I'm going to start out my crease with the shade Sophisticated. The next shade I'm going to dip into is Street Style. It's this reddish brown. I'm going to pick that up on a pencil brush, and I'm going to just apply that to about the outer third of my upper lash line, creating just a nice smoky wing and also creating some depth here in the outer corner. And keeping most of the color concentrated really close to my lash line and then just blending it upward from there. Not loving how that matte is going on. Do you see how skippy that is? That's what Sigma's mattes tend to do on me. Alright, so then going into this shade right here called Vintage, this really pretty mid-toned shimmery taupe, that is going to be our lid shade. I'm going to do it with no glitter primer on this side, and then on the other side I will do it with glitter primer just so we can see the difference. I do feel like with their shimmers, like as long as you pack them on with a finger, most of them do go on pretty well. Sometimes you just have to build them a little bit. I'm just going to take the brush that it comes with. I do like that their palettes come with a dual-ended brush with like actual real Sigma brushes. So this is the E38 diffused crease. I'm just going to use that to blend that shimmer up. Then on this other side, just taking a dab of my NYX glitter primer here, and then applying Vintage on top of that. Okay, so that definitely brought out a lot more of the shimmer, and I feel like it also brought out almost like a rosy sheen that we're not seeing quite as much on this side. Alright, I'm picking up a little bit more of Sophisticated on that same E38 and adding a bit more of that to my crease, just blending everything out. Okay, then I'm going to pick up a little bit of this lighter rosy shimmer called Posh, and that I'm just going to apply a little bit of to the inner, like the inner corner of my eyelid, just like that. Just have a little bit of brightness there. Alright, so I'm picking up a bit more of Street Style, that deep matte, and I'm just going to add a bit more of that to my outer corner, just to bring that back to the forefront a little bit. And then I'm taking whatever is left on that pencil brush and smoking it out on my lower lash line. Okay, so then I'm going to take Preppy, just the matte cream shade, and I'm just going to dust a little bit of that right underneath my brow. And then lastly, I'm going to grab some of Haute, this lightest shimmer, and highlight my inner corner with that. Alright, so I finished off the look with a nude pink lip. So I'm wearing my Kokie lip liner in Dusty Rose, and then I topped it with my Nude by Nature gloss in Tea Rose. And man, I really love this look. Even though I had some trouble with that matte shade, I still love the end result. I feel like this is the kind of look that you could wear just any day, you know? Like it's neutral enough to be worn anytime, but it's also kind of sultry, so it would be really pretty for a night out as well. And I love that you can go more of a taupey brown direction with this palette if you want to. You don't have to do something monochromatic mauve, you know? So that is look number 2. Alright, look number 3. I want to do something rosy today again, but this time I'm going to start out the look with this shade Preppy, this matte cream color, hoping that this will help me have better luck with the mattes. I'm just taking that all over my lid to set my eyeshadow primer. I haven't done this with the previous 2 looks, so we'll see what kind of difference it makes. Now I'm just taking the brush that it came with, the crease brush side, and I'm going to pick up some of New Mod, and this is going to be my crease color. Okay, this does seem to be blending a lot better already. Next up, I'm going to put the shade Flashy. We haven't used this shade yet. This more warm pink shimmer. This is going all over my lid, and just like before, I'm going to do one side with no glitter primer and one side with So this side has no glitter primer. And I'm just taking that all the way from inner to outer corner. Then applying some of my NYX glitter primer to the other side. Okay, so not a huge difference between the glitter primer and the non-glitter primer side, but as usual, I'm just seeing a little bit more of that sparkle coming through on the glitter primer side, which I do prefer. But if you don't have a glitter primer, I still think the effect on this side is pretty. I'm gonna layer just a little bit more on this side. Alright, then I'm gonna take some of this deep chocolate brown color called Grunge on an angled liner brush. And I'm gonna use that shade to do a soft wing on the upper lash line. Once again, I'm gonna use Haute in my inner corner. One of those light shimmer shades that like automatically gets relegated to being the inner corner highlight shade. On my lower lash line, I'm going to use my NYX Epic Wear liner stick in rose gold. I'm just going to smudge that all across. This is a light shimmery rose gold liner, and sometimes I like to just take it all the way across the lower lash line. Gives just the slightest bit of definition there, and it also brightens my under eyes, or my lash line. Alright, so to complete the look, I just filled in my lips entirely with the Urban Decay lip pencil in Manic. Really like the way that color goes with this eye look. It goes really well. It's just like a monochromatic berry look. But I'm really liking the way this look came together. It's a pretty simple look, really just that pink shimmer all over the lid, but I feel like this makes a really nice springtime eye look. So that completes look number 3. Alright, for look number 4, I'm going to start out again with the shade Preppy all over the lid to set my eyeshadow primer. So today I actually want to do an all matte look, a super simple look, mainly featuring the shade Sophisticated. I love putting a matte light brown like this all over the lid. So I'm just going to pick some of that up on the flat side of the brush that came with the palette, which is the E54, and I am just going to start packing that all over the lid. Then just flipping that brush over to the crease side and blending that out. I'm not picking up any additional shadow yet on this brush. Then I'm going to dip into Grunge, this deep matte brown. And I'm just going to use that to do a winged liner. So I applied that with an angled liner brush. And now I'm going to just take a pencil brush, pick up a little bit more of that deep brown, and just use that to blend out this upper part of the winged liner, just to make it look a little bit more smoky. Alright, then taking the E38 crease brush here, I'm just going to pick up a little bit more of Sophisticated and work that through the crease and just make sure everything looks nice and blended. Alright, picking up that pencil brush again, I'm going to grab a little bit more of Sophisticated. And there's also probably a little bit of dark brown left on here, and I'm just going to smoke that out on my lower lash line and kind of connect it to this wing up here. Alright, then dipping back into Preppy shade, I'm just going to use that to clean up this edge out here and just sweep that across the brow bone as well. I'm going to keep this look all matte, like literally. I'm not even going to put a shimmer in the inner corner. I'm just going to use Preppy as my inner corner highlight. I think this will still brighten pretty well. Yeah. Kind of enjoying all matte looks recently. I never used to, but I just think they look so sophisticated, which is the name of the shade that we have all over my lid, but I really do. I just think they look so classy. You just can't go wrong. Alright, so to finish off the look on the lips, I'm wearing the Kokie lip liner in Nude with the Wet n Wild lipstick in Skinny Dipping, or just kind of like a cool toned matte nude. Ties in well with the eye look. If you wanted to make this eye look less smoky, you could either skip the brown liner altogether or just do like a thinner wing. Mine ended up pretty smoky. So that is the completed look number 4. Okay, so I think we're on look number 5, and for today's look, I'm gonna do something light. I wanna keep it pretty light and airy and springy, and I wanna do a halo eye, and I think I want this shade, Avant-Garde, this duochrome, to be my center of the lid shade. So I think I'm gonna start out my crease with the shade New Mod, but first, I am going to set my eyeshadow primer with Preppy. So I'm just going to use the crease brush that came with the palette, the Sigma E38, to pick up some of the shade New Mod. And I'm just going to start buffing that into my crease. Alright, now flipping that brush over to the E54 side, I'm going to pick up some more of that shade. And I'm also going to build that up in my inner and outer corners. Alright, then flipping it back around to the crease side and blending. Okay, so I think we've established that the shimmers definitely do look best over a glitter glue. So I'm just going to take some of my NYX glitter glue and tap that in the center of my lid. And next I'm going to pick up some Avant-Garde on my finger and tap that in the center of the lid. And then I'm just taking that flat brush again and sort of dragging it back and forth between the shimmer and the matte just to make it look nice and blended. Just kind of tapping over the whole thing with that. I do just want to take a little bit of Voguish, this slightly deeper plummy matte. I'm just going to deepen up the inner and outer corners with that shade a little bit. Starting with the outer corner first, and then taking just a little bit of that in the inner corner. And then again, flipping the brush around. This is a very easy, just really 2-brush look. You really only need these 2 brushes for this one. Yeah, see, the mattes are behaving a lot better because I set my eyelid primer. I really do notice a big difference when I do that. I think that is key with Sigma mattes. Yeah, they're just blending a lot more willingly. Just tapping a little bit more Avant-Garde in the center. All right, and then going back into Preppy, just gonna use a very small amount of that to just kind of clean up right underneath the brow bone and out here as well. I'm gonna tightline with a dark brown pencil liner. This is the CoverGirl Perfect Point Plus in Espresso. Just gonna tightline my upper lash line with that. I'm just taking whatever is left on this flat side of the brush and applying that to my lower lash line. Alright, I'm going to do just a little bit of Haute in my inner corner. Really just concentrating it right in the very innermost corner here. Alright, so here we have the look all finished. On the lips I decided to go with this fun springy pink shade. This is the Urban Decay Matte Vice Lipstick in Art Walk. I like how it just sort of brightens up the look a little bit. I feel like I could have gone with like either a deeper plummy lip and made this more of like an evening look or a fall look, or you know, you could do like a lighter nude and make it a little bit more nude. But I kind of like the fun bright color. I feel like it just adds a little pop to this look. So that is look number 5. Alright, time for look number 6. I'm actually filming this on the same day as look number 5, so I just tried to remove my eyeshadow without disturbing the rest of my makeup as best I could. As always, I'm just going to set my eyeshadow primer with the shade Preppy. And today's look is not going to be rosy at all. I actually want to do a gold and brown look. I want to focus on these 2 shades out here, Glam and Grunge. So I'm going to start out my crease with the shade Sophisticated, this matte taupe. So next I'm going to go into the shade Grunge, the steepest brown, and I'm using this Sigma E25 blending brush. I'm going to start to build that up in my outer corner. I think I've only used this shade as a liner so far, so let's see how it does on the actual lid. Alright, so then as usual, I'm just going to apply some glitter primer to my lids. And then I'm going to apply Glam, this gold shade, just all over the lid. Alright, next I want to use this pencil brush, pick up a little bit more grunge with that, and just pack that on the outer corner. I just want to really bring that shade back, make it look nice and deep in the outer corner. Then, as usual, just taking whatever's left on that brush across my lower lash line. Alright, and then as I've done with most of these looks, I'm going to take some of Haute and apply that to my inner corner. It's really just the best, like, shimmery inner corner highlight in here. And I am pulling it up into, like, my inner crease as well. And then I'm just highlighting my brow bone with some more of Preppy. I'm also cleaning up my outer corner here. Then just taking my crease brush and blending over that so that it looks nice and seamless. Alright, I just want to do a brown winged liner. So I'm using my Annabelle brown liquid liner. Alright, so I decided to keep the very sultry glam look going with a bold lip. And I went with this plummy purple color. This is the Estate Lip Thirst in the shade Pina. And I'm really liking the vampy vibe of this look. I feel like this would make a great fall look. So that is the completed look number 5. Alright, so for our 7th and final look, I wanted to do just a really simple everyday neutral look. This would be a perfect one to do like if you're short on time in the morning. So as always, I am going to start by setting my lid with Preppy. So I'm just going to use the brush that came with the palette, and I'm going to start out actually with a mix of New Mod and Sophisticated. We're just going to do a mix of those two in the crease. So the crease is not like too pink and rosy. We'll just add a little bit of taupe to that color. Alright, next I'm going to flip the brush around to the flat side and pick up a little bit of the shade Street Style, and that is going to go in my outer corner. Alright, so one shade I feel like I haven't really used very much. I think I've only used it once so far, and it was just like a really small amount of it. But I'm going to dip into the shade Posh. This is going to be my lid shade. I think this is the only real shimmer I'm going to put on the lid today. And that shade is a little bit more like satiny than a lot of the other shimmers in here. It doesn't have as much sparkle to it. So that's why I skipped the glitter primer today. I feel like you don't really need that with this shade. Alright, so I'm just going back in with my crease brush and blending. Taking that crease brush across my lower lash line, just kind of smudging whatever is left on that brush underneath, which is not a lot, but just enough to define the lower lash line. And then, like always, we're going to use the shade Haute in the inner corner. I am going to take this flat liner brush into the shade Grunge. And I'm not going to wing this out, but I'm just going to use that right up against my upper lash line. Practically between my lashes. I'm just working that in there. Alright, so on the lips I went with a pinky neutral. I'm wearing the Urban Decay lip liner in Manic, topped with the Tower 28 lip gloss in Pistachio. That is the final look. This is totally my kind of look, just for an everyday, quick, rosy neutral look. If you wanted to make this look a little bit lighter and softer, you could skip that outer corner deep shade and just put Posh all over the lid from inner to outer corner, blend it all together if you just wanted to keep it a little bit lighter. But yeah, I love this kind of look. This is definitely my go-to color combo from just wanting to throw something together really quickly, not think too much about it. I really like this one. So that is the final look of this video. So that concludes this 7 looks 1 palette with the Sigma New Mod. Let me know down below which look was your favorite of the week. I don't even know if I could pick a favorite, to be honest. Maybe the halo eye that we did with Avant Garde in the middle, or maybe today's look. I also really like this one, even though it's super simple. But anyway, hopefully this video gave you a better idea of whether or not this palette would be a good purchase for you if you were on the fence about it, or if you already own this palette or something like it. Hopefully it gave you some inspiration for different looks that you could try. I would say if you're really into the color story and you're willing to get past the formula being a little bit tricky, Really, as long as you're willing to set your eyelid primer and wear a glitter glue underneath the shimmers if you really want them to pop, I think you'll be really happy with the looks that you get with this. I think some of the mattes are a little bit tricky to work with, but the end result of every look that I did, I really liked. So for me, I think this is going to end up being one of my most used palettes. I really think it's a well-curated color story, very easy to figure out a look with this one. There's a lot of different types of looks you can do with it, so I'm really enjoying this palette. Really glad we did this 7 looks video. But thank you so much for hanging out today. I hope you had fun. If you did, be sure to give the video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already. If you'd like to support my channel further, I do other tutorial-based videos a lot over on my Patreon, my channel membership, especially with older discontinued palettes. I tend to put those over there. So if you'd like to support my channel and get bonus content, definitely check those out. But otherwise, I hope you all have an amazing rest of your day, and I will talk to you again very soon in my next video. Bye.